Okay, now we need to go ahead and look at value stream mapping. Why are we talking value stream mapping? Well, one of the things that I've noted is that when we go ahead and look at successful agile transformations, it's amazing the number of small organizations or startup organizations that adopted the lean agile approach and transformed very early are succeeding like nobody's business. Spotify is an excellent example of that. But the reason why I'm looking at value stream mapping is very simply because this is something that we could do to go ahead and give a large company who honestly wants to do an agile transformation the same benefit that a small startup would have. One of the things I do know is that executives can be in impatient lots, and oftentimes their expectations can be a bit on the unrealistic side. The value stream mapping is an excellent way to manage the progress of your organizational transformation, demonstrating a series of business outcomes on a more realistic schedule. Because in defining a business outcome, what we're talking about is a value stream that goes from one end to the other, from the time a customer or something comes up till the time it's delivered. And since that's a value stream, it's cutting across the organization. That is definitely an organizational improvement. And by doing it this way, we can have a series of business outcomes done on a more realistic schedule and show that continuous improvement. The other thing it'll also show is how technology is an investment rather than cost overhead. Oh, sorry. So what are value streams? Essentially, they're the same things as processes. However, the focus is on identifying waste and providing opportunities for continual improvements. In a value stream, we visualize all the steps, manual and automated, needed to transform a specific service or need into an actual value for the customer, and taking into account that it's not just the end customer, it's also the internal and external stakeholders that we work with, where they are customers for the IT teams. The other thing is that this is an exercise that can't be done down deep in the organization with a development team or an infrastructure team. This can only happen with appropriate involvement from all top, mid, and operational level stakeholders. Why? Because we're talking business here. And we're talking about leveraging technology to go ahead and improve and be competitive. Now, let's talk a little bit about waste. Generally, when you see this, a lot of people look at this from the perspective of, okay, just traditional environments where not necessarily IT. Okay, transport, you're talking about trucks, moving things here, moving things there. However, in the IT environment, one of the things that you're looking is, how do you get your software into production? That is transport. And so how long does it take? What's the release? What is the release cycle like? Do you have continuous delivery? These are things that we go ahead and look at. Over-processing, okay? In a normal environment, okay, you created too many of these products. Here, what we're talking about is too many manual processes that could be dealt with on an automated basis. Waiting, okay, that's easily done in a normal environment and also in the IT environment. Anytime you have to hand something off to another team and then get it back from them in order to finish it up, you're waiting. So any handoffs are basically causing delays. When we go ahead and look at motion, we're talking about, okay, moving stuff here, moving stuff there, but in an IT environment, what we're really talking about is we're talking about not having to repeat processes. This is why there's a big shift to go ahead and address security and compliance up front instead of at the end of the process, so that we don't end up having to repeat the process again because we need to make changes in code. Let's capture that information and code it in from the get-go. This way you don't have this motion going back and forth. As far as inventory, okay, generally too much product sitting in a warehouse, not making money. For us, it's more about not deploying code regularly. Understand, the more you deploy code and test it and have it working, it makes it easier to go ahead and catch any mistakes you may have, and that you're improving the system incrementally rather than the big bang. So you don't want to go ahead and build up a whole bunch of code before deploying it. You should be able to deploy it on a regular basis. I mean, at least in a continuous integration environment, you commit at least once a day, if not more. And some organizations actually do it 1,000 times a day. So that's really what we're talking about when we talk about inventory here. Technical defects. That is technical debt, no question about it. Now, we may not go ahead and count it as value when we're doing, when we have a Scrum team and they're delivering things. But one of the things that I've always done with my Scrum teams is I would set aside a certain amount of time to focus on defects. We wouldn't get credit for it and everything, but that would get fixed. Very simply because the longer you wait, the more difficult it is to go ahead and resolve it. Overproduction. Again, creating too much product. But what I've seen in software development is a programmer who is programming to his ego rather than the requirement. And they go ahead and they code beyond the functionality because I really want to go ahead and make this look really good. And they're doing it more for themselves than satisfying the requirement that needs to be done. If it has a potential to go ahead and do something, that's one thing, but it's something that should be discussed with the customer.